Peace. Welcome to Holistic Intuition, where we collectively explore health, raised consciousness, and overall holistic experiences such as self-love, cultural privilege, confidence, sex, friendships, oppressive systems, and much, much more, while encouraging you to be your best guide in this human experience through helping each other connect more deeply with ourselves.
Peace, y'all. I am so excited to bring you guys another guest. You know, we did have Shamaya on last week, and we will bring her on to finish up in the next coming few weeks. But in the meantime, I am so excited to have on not only my beautiful cameraman, who is behind the camera on every episode, and editing for me, which is a whole task in and of itself, but he also is my partner, and I'm so happy that you're here for this podcast, so thank you, baby.
Welcome. I'm excited to be here. It's my first time ever being on a podcast, well, like a podcast where you guys can see my face, but I'm excited to start this podcast and, you know, share my thoughts and share my feelings and just share my perspective to whoever is watching and whoever wants to, you know, take in some new information. So I'm excited, and you know, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
So today what we're going to be discussing is basically how he, oh my gosh, I didn't even say your name.
No, you did. My name is Rashonn Werts. My Instagram is Rashonn Werts, is RASHONN, last name WERTS. You can follow me on Instagram. I don't really get on Facebook, but you can follow me.
Tell him, because, you know, Rashonn was really, like, I'm just going to talk to you, you know? You were, like, really the first person that introduced me in a serious way to entrepreneurship and how that played out in your life, how you got there, what freedoms you have now, and just everything that went along with that. And yeah, like, just tell us a little bit about you, because you don't have the typical story of what a young, like someone in our age range is doing with their life right now. So tell the people what you do, because this man deserves all the credit. When I tell you, like, this is someone that is so disciplined in his love, because it's not work, you know. He is so disciplined and always trying new things. He is never afraid to try something new and go out and really give it all that attention and love it needs to develop different skills. And just, honestly, this podcast is so different for me, because it's like, you're someone that I'm so comfortable with, obviously, and I just wish that I could, like, just show everyone everything. Like, I just love you so much. But go ahead and tell them what you do.
Well, first I want to say, I feel like you, just to touch on what you just said, I feel like we have, like, our own private podcast every day. So we talk to each other so freaking much that I feel like it feels weird to have a camera right here, but I feel like I'm still having a regular conversation with you. You know, I first started off 19, grew up, made my first $1 million business at 21 with my twin brother, and that's where I'm at now.
So now you own your own e-com company, where you help brands, you know, scale their businesses through Facebook ads. And more recently, you've taken on photography and videography, which is very exciting, also as a partner to watch you develop that new skill. But before we get into all of that, let's get into what this episode is going to be focused on. This episode, we are going to be discussing, I would say, like an intro to relationships, because we're in a romantic relationship, but more so on your end of the spectrum. You know, like how you've connected more with yourself, which has allowed us to connect more as a unit. You know, how you've connected more with your divine masculine, different trauma that you've released, so that we can just really go deeper in our connection. So I'm really excited to talk about this, because you're really the only man that comes to mind when I can think of someone that is enlightened. And that is in terms of spirituality, in terms of relating and understanding your emotions, understanding how to cope with life, really just overall the food you eat, like overall your holistic health is something that is just beautiful and something that I always wanted in a partner. Someone that was very aware. You know, you have a very high sense of awareness. And even though when we met, we were still on slightly different pages, because you had such a high awareness and not a dominant ego that was controlling you, that allowed you to be defensive, you really like took in new ideas as it was like exciting. It wasn't something that was like, oh, now I have to do this, or oh, I didn't know about this, so I feel dumb, or no, it was like, I didn't know that. Like, he would be like, what? You're telling me this is what's in chicken, or this is this, or this is that, and it wasn't ever like you were defensive, you know, and that's just something that I feel like we all can admire in the next person. So let's just get into like, what is, for people that don't understand masculine and feminine energy, what is the masculine energy to you? How do you get in touch with your divine masculine?
I think really like one of the like best ways to get in touch with your masculinity is really to understand the feminine, right? Because I feel like masculinity and femininity go together. You know, like we all possess masculine and feminine energy. So I feel like if you don't really understand, you know, how to coexist with feminine energy, then you don't know where you stand as a man in your masculine. And I feel like, you know, us being in a relationship, I've been able to really understand, you know, feminine energy and really understand, like, you know, the experience of a female, the experience of a woman, the experience like you guys have, and like, how do I be there to protect? How do I be there to, you know, just like hold space to make you guys feel like heard, acknowledged? I feel like a lot of women in our society are not heard. They're not acknowledged. Their experiences are not important. You know, we dim down and we, you know, just push it to the side like it's not important. I feel like me being with you, all the things that you taught me and all the things that you told me, it was like, awakening. You know, it was like, wow, you know, that's, you know, it's like I wasn't just thinking from just a male perspective. I was thinking more from like a more well-rounded perspective, and I was able to see, you know, like how much vital information and energy that, you know, the woman possesses. You know, like if you start really paying attention, you'll understand that women, they are the creator of life. You know, Mother Nature, she breeds, she grows seeds just like a female, just like a woman. So it's like when you really get in tune to that and you start paying attention to the nature, the laws of nature through, you know, femininity, it's like, wow, okay, I see where I'm lacking. I see where I can improve. And I think that was just a big part of like, you know, learning more about my masculine, is just learning, you know, so much about you and learning how to like understand that perspective. And now when I move out in the world, now it's like, okay, I'm not just thinking from my perspective, I'm thinking from her perspective.
Right.
You know, because like I learned from your perspective, and I think that you're a very knowledgeable woman, so you could give me a lot of like, you know, constructive advice, not just, because I don't believe that, you know, all like every woman is just in her divine feminine. So it's not like you can just get this information from, you know, anybody.
Any woman, no.
You gotta get it from a woman that really knows herself, a woman that's really confident in herself, and a woman that, you know, has been through these experiences. Because I feel like to really grow in your feminine energy or in your masculine energy, I feel like it's practice. It's really a lot of love. It's really a lot of acknowledgement. You know, it's like when things happen, we have to acknowledge it, we have to address it, and then we have to understand it and move on.
And release,
And,
right.
you know, and move on. And I feel like sometimes we just go through life without really acknowledging things, and we just keep acting like nothing really happened. So I feel like that's a big part of like really learning my masculine.
Definitely, and I completely agree with that, because it's like that yin and the yang. It's like, how can I understand the yin without the yang? It's like I'm missing half of the puzzle piece. So I definitely agree with that. And too, is like sometimes women find it attractive when their man does things for them. But what I love is that you never look at it like this is just for Jessie. This is for all women. This is for all the women in my life. This is for all the women I come in contact with. This is just for women, period. This is not like I'm just going to do this for Jessie. If a man is only doing something for you or only doing something for women that he finds attractive, that's not being in the divine masculine. That's like categorizing, oh, I'm going to pick and choose where I do certain things. And that's just not it. That's just not it. So what kind of words would you describe to touch on what is masculine energy? Because let me first just say, like, when I think of feminine energy, I think of creativeness. I think of nurturing. I think of the person that's always like the helper. You know, it's like you might be, and the thing is, like, also we can take parts of our physiology as cues. So like a man has a penis. A penis is an outward part of the body.
Right.
So men are more outward.
Right.
You know, they're more the doers in terms of like, I'm going to go out and be assertive. That's the masculine energy. That's not what men, or, you know, that's not what men do, because women have masculine energy too. Right. But that's just what masculine energy is that more going out. Where feminine energy is more like this essence. It's like, I'm just being. I'm just being because I have this knowing. So I was just saying, part of that feminine essence is being very intuitive. You know, very connected to like your third eye and those types of things. So how would you categorize or just describe masculinity to you?
I would describe masculinity as, you know, being, you know, like being a protector, you know, being an organizer, being decisiveness, like knowing how to make decisions, knowing what you want, knowing how to control, not really control, but knowing how to navigate a situation, right? Because it's not really about control. I feel like masculine has this negative connotation around being controlling, and it's really not being controlling. It's just knowing how to move through an environment. You know, I'm from Philly, and we use a term that we use a lot is like knowing how to carry something. Right. Like, it's like knowing how to carry an environment, knowing how to carry yourself, knowing how to carry a conversation, knowing how to carry a situation. Because I feel like, you know, a lot of times there's going to be situations where, you know, they come up unexpectedly, and you just need to know how, you just not need to know, but you just need to have that intuition, you know, that confidence to know how to like move through the interaction, right? So I feel like it's all about, you know, just knowing yourself and just knowing how to like really carry the environment, you know, carry like, you know, okay, I need to make sure Jessie is good. I need to make sure, you know, she feels comfortable. I need to make sure I'm making this person feel comfortable, because we're the protectors. So it's like you want to like, for example, it was this situation that happened recently with me when I was walking into, you know, me and Jessie, we were going to a juice parlor up the street from us, and it was this guy that was outside of the store, and he was like he looked like he was having like some mental health issues, and he was, I think he was like a contractor, and he was working on the door, he was trying to work on the spring of the door, and I had to walk past him to get inside of to enter the store, you know, and he just had like all these utensils in his hand, and he was talking to himself, and he looked very aggressive and very tense, you know, and I could feel that energy just me going up to the door. I just felt like, you know, I was going to have to like pretty much like disengage or like disarm, you know, I had to disarm this energy. I had to disarm this whole, you know, interaction. So when I walked up to him, you know, he looked at me and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "No, I'm not okay." He was like, "Do I look okay?" I was like, "No, you don't look okay." He's like, "Well, I'm trying my best." And I was like, "That's all you can do, bro." You know, and like and he met me with this aggressive energy, but for me, it was like me knowing how to navigate this interaction. I knew that he wasn't right, so it was like, okay, I'm not gonna, you know, overexert my energy to like try to control and, you know, make him feel little. I just let him know, like, "Hey, bro, it's okay. You know, that's all you can do," and completely disarmed the whole situation. And then when I walked in, the women, it was all women in there, right? So you got this guy out there with a hammer and nails and stuff like that. He talking to himself, face red, like they look really intimidated. So when I walked in there, pretty much, the women, they were like, yeah, sometimes he's very strange. He makes us like, it was like pretty much like letting me know that he was making them feel uncomfortable, And I was like, like, you mind if I stand here? Like, I'll stand here, because usually when I order from this place, they make us wait outside. And this is the first time they was like, no, I want you to stand here type time. So I was standing there, and then I was like, I went over there, and then after that, the guy, like after I pretty much had that talk with him, he completely calmed down. He completely calmed down, and he opened the door, and then I had to like go past him a few times to get something out of the car, and I was like, excuse me. He was like very nice now. He was like, hey, yeah, no, like, I hope you're okay, like, have a great day. Like, his whole energy changed, and it was like, me is like, not only, being masculine is not, being able to protect your women, but it's being able to protect all women.
Right.
Because that's what the masculine energy is. Like, we're here to protect all women. Like, wherever we're at, this is our job to protect women. It's to make them feel comfortable around anybody. So I feel like that's a great example of like how to really, show your masculinity or being a divine masculine in a certain interaction.
Well, and because like once you got back in the car, he was talking about how, like the women in there were appreciative that you kind of took
control.
Yeah, like you showed your dominance, because control is not being masculine. Like the word, like that term toxic masculinity is an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. It's like saying big small. That doesn't make sense. Masculinity is divine. It's not toxic. So if you're having toxic traits, you're not operating in the masculine. And a lot of times people that are not operating in their masculine, that are hyper aggressive, are controlling. They are manipulative. They are those things. So it's like you were not those things. You just took a handle of it without saying I need control, but you just were relaxed. And that's why that guy felt your energy, number one, and why those women in that restaurant were appreciative that you made sure that they were good. You made sure that they felt okay, that they felt safe, because it's like, you just never know what could happen. This guy had a hammer, you know what I'm saying? And you just never know. Majority of times, people that are mentally ill are not violent at all. And most times, if they are, it's toward themselves. But, you don't know how the women were feeling. And just you checking up on them is a divine act. It is. And it's also interesting because in that moment, like when you walked in, because I was sitting in the car. So right when I saw that guy, I could tell something was off. I didn't have to, my window wasn't even down. I didn't hear what he was saying. I just knew something was wrong by the way he was maneuvering. And when you walked toward him and you were like talking to him for like a little minute,
Right.
And for a second I thought like when you opened the door, it looked like he was trying to like touch your arm or something. And I was just like, I felt my masculine energy come up. Like I need to, because the thing is, it's not one or the other. It's not like, oh, he's always in his masculine, I'm always in my feminine. No, it's about balancing in yourself and then balancing that in a partner. Yeah. And we all have different desires for that energy to be either held within us or what we want a partner to do. Exactly. So it's like in that moment, I was very, for the most part in that day, more toward my feminine side. And in that moment, it was like this switch of like, hold on. It's like this protectiveness, the masculine came out. That protective, like, I need to see what's going on. I need to be assertive. And like, I was just about to open the door and make sure you were straight. And then you went inside and I could tell everything was cool, So it's like, it's just interesting because we both were really in our masculine in that sense, but it was a beautiful thing. So I think that's really a great example because these things always don't have to be these like huge stories and this crazy thing happened. No. It can literally just be something as simple as that and making sure that the women around you feel protected. And another thing, the two words that I feel like that people use a lot with the masculine is to provide and protect. how does that word provide make you feel, and how do you use that versus how other people use it?
Well, I think provide, I feel like, like you said, providing, I feel like people look at that, the word provide in just a linear way, in just one way. They look at it financially, right? But I feel like, providing is, you gotta learn how to look at providing in a non-linear way, right? Because I feel like providing is something that you have to do, like, multifacetedly, right? Like, you need to provide and be able to provide for your woman emotionally. You need to financially as well. It's you need to be able to hold your own, bargain, but emotionally, spiritually, also it's just like handling your own in the normal day-to-day interactions, right? Like, a lot of men look at women like they're just supposed to be, the queen of the household, and they just take care of everything in the house. But it's like, you gotta understand that, your partner has emotions too, and they don't want to clean every day. They don't want to fix everything and plan everything and do everything. So it's like, you gotta learn how to take control in those types of scenarios as well. So it's like, you gotta just learn you just need to learn the parts that you need to feel, and that's just by.
And I wouldn't even say control. I would say like being dominant. Like, you planning something, or you taking, like, okay, there's dishes in the sink, I'm gonna go do it. That's you being dominant. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just feel like it's just knowing how to step in without, having to be told. It's like doing things without having to be told, and like, not just financially, like, the same things that your women do, you need to be able to reciprocate that energy. It needs to be a balance, It shouldn't look like one way, like, oh, I just do the finances and you just do the household. And it's like, no, you need to learn how to do the household and do the finances and do everything else. And you guys learn how to, move around, and whatever fits come through for you, then those are the areas that you predominantly, focus on. But also on the back end, knowing how to, paying attention to the other things that you need to be, present with, So I feel like it's just learning a bunch of different things and learning how to just be assertive and take initiative in a relationship.
Well, I also like that you brought up providing emotionally. What does that mean to you?
Providing emotionally means, it's just like, I feel like, for example, like, I feel like with men, like, emotions have a negative, again, it has a negative connotation around men, because I feel like men we're just taught not to feel emotions. We're just taught to, like, just, take it and keep going, like, don't worry about it, get it, keep going. And it's like, every time you keep doing that, you desensitize yourself from your senses, right? Because that's what emotions are. It's just your senses. So it's like, if you don't know how to be emotional, then you don't know how to sense things, and that's where you miss things. And you miss, certain. You feel disconnected. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so being there emotionally is
or you might not feel disconnected, but your partner might, or other people might
feel disconnected.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's just like, being there emotionally is like, women, they are highly sensitive, so things affect them, and it's like, you gotta know, that, like, you gotta prioritize, emotion as well, and that means just, like, literally, like, for example, like, if you ever been in a relationship, and women, they go through their cycle every once a month. Once a month, they go through their cycle once a month, and sometimes you can experience cramps that might be, pretty intense, and you might look like, oh, she's just doing cramps, but if, like, she's really there and she's going through some type of pain, you need to be there for her. You need to, hold her, make her feel like safe, make you feel like, you're here for her, make her feel like, you are here to just support her. So I feel like being there emotionally is being there supportively. And being there genuinely supporting, not just, really, like, taking it as, like, a serious matter. Not like, oh, this is just something small, this is very serious, So it's like, and when you get more in tune with your emotions, then you be able to sense all different types of things. You can sense things that you just really, you wasn't even conscious that this stuff be happening. You just be like, wow, I feel way more aware because
Yeah.
you know that's what senses is. Senses brings your awareness, so you just
Right.
you just become more aware of certain things. You become aware of more situations and you know how to pretty much navigate through them.
I would also add on, it's also setting that foundation of trust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if someone doesn't feel completely safe, they're not going to be able to connect with those parts of themselves
Right.
to then project that and give that to their partner.
Right.
You know, so I feel like that's also a conversation we had like a while ago. It was just setting that level of safety, of trust, so that my emotions feel safe with you. And the masculine is to hold, like you said, it's to hold space. It's to hold that level of I got you.
Yeah.
And then that allows my femininity to flourish. And that, like, in that way, it's coming from you to me. And then in the other way, it's like I'm setting that level of trust for you. I'm allowing these things to flow out of you. I'm not judging you. I am listening. I'm nurturing you. I'm in tune with the feminine. And now you're able to trust me and allow your emotions to flow more.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like a mom and dad type relationship in those interactions. It's like just how your parents, you know, I don't know everyone parents, but how your parents is supposed to make you feel. They're supposed to make you feel like you can do no wrong. Like, you know, if you do something wrong, it's okay. You know, I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to help guide you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like creating that comfortable setting for people to be, you know, vulnerable and, you know, do things and learn and make mistakes. So I feel like, you know, it's just making that person feel protected in that moment. And I think, you know, that's what, you know, I've been learning a lot in our relationship is just learning how to set the environment and just knowing how to like be encouraging, you know, and understanding and, you know.
And also I think you being able to quiet your own thoughts in times when it was my turn to really open up or share things or be vulnerable. A lot of times, like, people feel the need to say something to be like, oh, let me say this so that they know that I resonate with them.
Right.
Let me say this so they know that I relate to what they're talking about. And that it does nothing except makes the person feel not listened to.
Right.
That's really it.
Right.
So you being able to hold space through literally like not talking and quieting your own thoughts and really taking in what I'm saying and then asking meaningful questions, those two things right there are, I would say, like, if people are saying, okay, but how do I do this? Those two things right there, I feel like are crucial. You know, you need that in any healthy relationship because vulnerability is what creates the trust and the honesty and all of that. So if I'm not able to be vulnerable, then we don't really have anything.
No.
We just have superficial things, superficial connection, superficial conversation, whatever. So yeah, I definitely, I those two things are like a game changer.
Yeah.
So now that we've, you know, been together for a little while, we live together, what are some things that you can reflect on from either like right before we met or maybe at the start of our relationship to now in ways that you have grown in your own manhood?
I think it's more so like listening to myself. I feel like, you know, I've always been like on my own 2 feet really and just like, I really never was like the type of person that wanted to be a part of the crowd, you know, especially if it didn't make sense to me. It wasn't like I wasn't okay with being with the crowd, only if it made sense, only if it was aligned with me. But it was just certain times, especially growing up in Philly, being who I am, I feel like, you know, a lot of times I was not a part of the crowd because of my own ways. I'm like, I don't really, you know, so I feel like being in a, you know, getting into this relationship has taught me so much because I had so many, like, thoughts and feelings in my own body and my own mind, and sometimes, you know, I suppressed it. And, you know, like being with you, you know, it had to make me step up more as a man and step into those positions where I had to use my own thinking and like really say it out loud and like be confident with it. And, you know, as I continue to keep doing it, it was just like, damn, bro, like, you're really smart. Like I was saying, I feel like, you know, it just showed me more and more like how smart I am and how much of like a critical thinker I am. Like, and I always felt that way. I feel like certain times, like when we would go to an interaction together, not me and you, but I'm just talking about in my own life, when I would go through, have an interaction, and I would like have my own thoughts about it, and the next person, they wouldn't really like have the same feelings I had, and I would just be like, like just let them say whatever they're gonna say and move and just keep it pushing. But and I feel like doing that is like suppressing your feelings, suppressing your throat chakra. It's not you're not releasing your feelings, and you get those stored up emotions in your body. So I feel like being with you, it made me have to like be more vocal. And as I became more vocal, it was like, damn, like my thought pattern or my perspective was super valid, and it really made sense. And it made me more confident in my thoughts. It made me more confident in my beliefs. It made me more confident in my feelings. And I feel like that's what really would change me completely. And I feel like you were one of those types of people that, and I feel like, because a lot of people not going to really agree with you sometimes. They're not always going to agree with your perspective. But I feel like when you're with someone who's a critical thinker and who has like a heightened level of awareness, they can kind of understand where you're coming from, and they can help you, or they can like let you know that you are making sense. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because common sense sometimes isn't common. So I feel like being with someone who has, a high level of awareness and sensitivity, like all these things that I was saying was like, it was more like, it was like you were like, what would be
like validating?
Yeah, like, more like, validating, like, you are right. I get you. And it was like,
and now you don't even need that anymore. Now you automatically just...
Yeah, and then it would be sometimes too, like where me and you might go through something, and your perspective wasn't like mine. And I'm like, well, I don't really, Jessie, I don't know if you really, missed this one, or you didn't, maybe you misinterpreted this, and then I had to bring it to you. And there'll be sometimes where we share our thoughts together, and then we go through another interaction, and we both realize something like, oh, no, he was kind of right. Or vice versa, she was, I see what you're saying now. So it's like, it just helped, heighten that ability and that confidence to just be more, what do you call that? Like, not really caring, like just saying what you need to say,
and just trusting yourself.
Unapologetic type of thing, So.
And like watching you cultivate that skill as a partner is honestly one of the most beautiful things, because you always had this level of ease and confidence about you that wasn't over aggressive. It was just like, I know who I am. I'm confident with it, period. Like, you don't gotta say nothing to me. It was just like this very sexy ease about you. But to like watch you really cultivate that skill of really trusting yourself and your confidence growing, and then seeing how that manifested through like you being way more expressive, like, you still smiled and everything, but you are way more smiley now than he was when I first met him. Like, you're way more expressive. You're just, everything is more at the forefront, where in the past it was kind of like, oh, I'm kind of going to sweep that under the rug because I don't want to, be too much, and I don't want to be like that, guy that's being OD about it. And it's like, no, you being OD by holding the shit in. Because those stored emotions, it's not like they just disappear, okay? Stored emotions are literally just motion. They're energy in motion, emotion. So if you're not allowing it to flow, it's getting stuck in you. And it might get stuck in your throat chakra. And that's one of the places where you had a blockage. You weren't saying everything. You were saying how you felt, but you weren't saying everything that you needed to say. And it's not like every thought you say needs to be said. That's not what we're saying. We're saying more when you know in yourself that you need to speak on something, but you're not, because you're worried about what the other person's going to say, or you're worried how the interaction is going to go, or all these other thoughts that have really nothing to do with you. You are creating the blockage.
Or you don't want to create confrontation. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like a lot of times,
that's like the Libra in you.
People don't, and especially me, like, I just didn't really feel like being confrontational, like, Because
also understanding, like, the parts of you that make you helps you to navigate in this world. You know, so one of your 3 signs is Libra.
Right.
Libra is the peacemaker, and a lot of times Libras don't say everything that needs to be said because they put themselves in that place.
Right.
So I just want to mention that, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's just like being confrontational. It's like you don't want to like cause conflict. Not that you're like afraid of conflict, but it's like you just don't really enjoy being in those type of environments, you know, or being in those type of interactions. So it's just like not wanting to be confrontational, but on the flip side of not, you know, being, you know, assertive and not saying what you need to say, then things go, you know, things slip under the rug, and you know that thing just keeps repeating. Like, you know, history keeps repeating itself, and it just keeps happening because you never fix that pattern, or you never fix that, you know, that habit. So it's like, and you know, when you first start, you know, speaking out for yourself and telling people how you feel, you know, it's gonna feel uncomfortable. But every time you do it, it's like this release. It's this sense of like, damn, I got that off my chest, and you know, you don't feel weird the next time you see that person, or you don't feel like, you know, like you don't know what they thinking. It doesn't really matter. It's like you said what you needed to say, and that's really it.
And you said it with love.
And sometimes, like, especially when you're like in a group, right? Someone will say something, and you can feel when everyone else in the room is not agreeing, but they're so, you know, passive and lack of confidence that they don't say anything. Right. And then it's like, boom, when you say something and you speak up for the collective, now everybody has they're looking at you like, dang, like, he confident, or like, you know, like he spoke up for me. Yeah. Like people feel like he spoke up for me. He stood up for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's really what I want to do, because I always wanted to make people feel good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it was like, sometimes I would make people feel better than I felt myself.
You were people pleasing.
You know what I'm saying?
So you can have that quality of being aware and being mindful of someone, but sometimes it plays out in an unhealthy way. Right. So in your way, it was people pleasing, and you just had to correct it and come back on course and say, I still care about people, and I still say things with love, but I need to say how I feel. And
that's the root of it, you know, because you really got to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. So it's just like, but also just making sure that, you know, you still moving with love when you're saying these, you know, these things that you're saying out of your mouth. You know, make sure you're moving with love, make sure you're moving with, you know, compassion and understanding, because, you know, I feel like a lot of these things that happen, it's just a lack of communication. It's a lack of understanding, and sometimes things go places they don't need to go because people don't want to understand the next person's perspective, right? So
definitely. And that's something that you having that innate ability to always come with love and patience, and this very, like, you say what needs to be said, but in a very gentle way. And that's something that I just really needed, because I didn't have enough of that growing up, and you just gave me that, like, we're gonna move through this, but I got you. Like that warm hand on your back rubbing you, like, it's okay. You know, we're gonna, like, I'm with you, I got you, and we're gonna work through it together. And that right there was like, just, so I was just saying that it's really so important to acknowledge the ways that, basically acknowledge how your upbringing, how it's affected you, you know, how it's made you, how it's really just set, basically what I'm saying is how it set the precedent for every upcoming relationship. You know, that first relationship sets how you think about boundaries, how you communicate, how you think about your own self-worth, how you know, and then also like feeding into the different energies, like, you know, how your mom was with her feminine energy, how your dad was with his masculine energy, and how that affected you. So that has been a very important and like key thing that we focused on, especially earlier on in our relationship. So what kind of things did you have to put more awareness on about your childhood that has helped you in our relationship?
I would say like more like nurturing. I feel like being more nurturing, being more like attentive, like, you know, like I feel like, you know, like I feel like I didn't really have that, like that attentiveness, and I didn't really realize how important it is, because when you're attentive, you like paying attention to details, and I feel like, you know, women grow up, they're naturally, you know, taught to be attentive, like, you need to know how to do this. You need to know how to like attend to the house, attend to your brother, attend to your dad, attend to everyone. Especially as you get older, it's just like you got to be that person that's paying attention. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like as a man, we have that privilege where it's like, oh, we just got to go outside and bring shit back home. You know what I'm saying? And that's really it. We don't got to be attentive. You know, and I feel like I really lacked that in my relationship with my father, because I feel like, you know, he wasn't attended to in his childhood in certain ways, and that kind of manifested into his relationship with me. And that's something that me and my dad work through now. You know, we have conversations about, but, you know, I think it was being attentive. And when I started like paying attention, I started to like realize, you know, that, you know, how important it was, you know, and you showed me that in a way, because it was like you were so attentive to me that I just took it as like, you know, like I didn't realize, I didn't take it for granted. It's just I didn't realize, you know, like I looked at it as like it's just what Jessie does. You know what I'm saying? It's just Jessie. That's just Jessie. And it's like, nah, like that's not just Jessie. Jessie loved me so much that she wants to be there for me, for anything. And as a man, you got to reciprocate that same energy. And that's where I think, you know, I learned a lot, is being attentive. And I really think I had like a head start to being attentive, you know, being with my brother. I had like, you know, a situation going on with my brother, and I had to be there for him, do thick and thin, do every single thing. And I didn't complain, because I was doing it for a certain reason, and I wasn't stopping until, you know, I seen him better, you know. So it's like that taught me how to like take care of another person, and I feel like meeting you just really heightened it. It showed me how to be there for, you know, even for me, for myself, and for you, and being there for you in a way of like how a woman needs to be there, because like,
and how I wanted you to show up too, right? Like my individual, but also like how women like tend to want to be cared for, but then specifically like how I want to be cared for. Right.
So it was like all those different things. It was like, dang, and it was like, and I feel like, you know, me, I'm always been a learner. Like I love to learn, like not saying like I like to learn like going to school or something. Like I like to learn things that I can actually apply in my life. Like I don't like to just learn anything. So it was like learning how to, you know, be there for my, you know, for my partner, taught me how to be there for my grandma, taught me how to be there for my mom, taught me how to be there for my sister, taught me how to be there for, like, walking down the street and I see somebody like, you know, a woman that needs a little like, hey, are you okay? Or just being there for anybody. Like it just taught me how to have more, you know, compassion and just have more, you know, love for people. So I feel like, you know, that was a big thing that I definitely learned in my relationship. And listen, get in tune, because that is definitely a superpower. Like when people see that you're noticing them and that you're, you know, being attentive to them, they're one, you know, it's just like the law of attraction. You know, it's like if you give that energy, it's gonna come back to you. You know, and I feel like a lot of that has came back to me in so many ways. So many ways, like everywhere I go, I'll be attentive, and next thing you know, someone, you know, is asking me to perform a certain project for them. They want to pay me, or they want to give me free things, or they want to...
And that happens honestly a lot. Like when we go out, it's honestly unbelievable how many times we are just met with like just all of this amazing love. And that can be through like free gifts that we get when we go somewhere. It could be that someone wants to have a whole conversation with us and they're the owner of the place and they have things to do. You know, like we are constantly met with all of those things that we give out, we are giving back. And we are attentive to that, and we thank Source every day. Every day we have our morning stretch and meditation routine, and we thank Source. Every time we sit down and eat our nourishment, we thank Source. Anytime I come in contact with herbs, I'm thanking Source. and those things just come back to us. I mean, like, it's really just amazing. Like, we really are that level of gratitude, like, I feel like I really, honed in on my gratitude right before I met you, but even being with you has just, like, it's gone up exponentially, because now it's like I have this immense amount of gratitude for what Source brought me. And really just believing in divine timing. Like, Ra had a very serious and difficult few months before I met you with your brother, and I was focused on, like, I was insulating, like, I remember watching Sheila Marie, who's Ace Hood's wife. She made this video about how she was saying, I'm isolating right now, I'm taking care of myself, and she was saying, no, my therapist said, you're not isolating, you're insulating, and you're like getting things ready, kind of, and I really spent, like, that time of COVID, like, really being alone and just really pouring into myself the things that I was lacking for such a long time, and, like, really making it a routine every morning, writing what I'm grateful for, moving my vessel, just like these things that were every day so that I could set these neural pathways up. And it's no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence anymore. It was divine timing that I had kind of gotten myself ready for you, and because of that experience with Day, you were more ready for me.
Well, definitely. And
it's like we had just this divine meeting, and it was like a knowing. It was this deep knowing that I've never had before in my life. That, like, when I just met you, it was like something was just different. I've been in committed relationships before, and they were important to me. They were meaningful. It wasn't just like, oh, this is just someone, like, no. I lived with a past partner. That is a whole nother level of experiencing someone. But being with you was just like, it was like my soul just knew you. And it was like this instant level of comfortability, this instant level of trust, this instant knowing, like, something is different here in a really positive way. And that was something I've never experienced before, because I feel like I've kind of been on the other side, where it's like, because of my experiences, I was very much with my guard up with men. Yeah. I was like, you're only getting a part of me. I'm not letting you see any other part of me. This wall is steel, and you're not crossing it. And that created issues with people that I wasn't as serious with, but there was still this level of, like, we're still interacting with each other. Right. But it's like, that was just that safety feeling that you gave to me really was what I needed. Mm-hmm. I was really, honestly, sometimes it's so tiring maneuvering the world as a woman, because you constantly have to be protecting yourself, and I feel like in some ways we can relate, and it's different, but you move through the world being a black man, so you have to have a level of protection. And as a woman, you have to have a level of protection. Now, is it very different? Yes, but it's still present. So you just giving me that feeling, it was just, like I said, it was a deep knowing. I didn't have to question it. It wasn't like, and some women will also be like, oh, I knew he was going to change, or I knew it was like, no, it's none of that lack of accountability bullshit. This is someone that I knew I could feel the purity and the goodness in your heart. I could feel it. Like, the first day we met, we literally sat there and talked for an hour and a half. I am not going to allow some random guy to sit down with me for an hour and a half. Like, no, I'm not that woman that's just like, oh, some guy talks to me, oh, I feel so happy, and, like, no, bro, I have confidence. A man coming up to me does not give me an ego boost, okay? A man will go up to anyone with a vagina, okay? But you won't. And that level that you gave me was just unmatched. And ever since then, it was just like, I don't ever have to question anything, ever. And I never did. You just gave me knowing. You gave me trust. You gave me patience. And everything that you gave me really helped me connect more with myself. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest blessings that you gave to me, was allowing me to connect more deeper with myself.
Yeah. You wanna know one thing you gave me?
Yeah.
I feel like one thing to like, you know, like piggyback on what you said, I feel like one thing that you gave me that was huge was care. You know, I feel like all my life I've always been caring about other people. And I feel like I always had like a good, you know, village around me where people care for me. I'm not gonna say like no one cared for me. Like I had plenty of people caring for me, but I feel like it wasn't to the point where you cared for me. Besides one person that I love in my heart, and this is my Nana. You know, I feel like I grew up with my Nana living next door to me, and I grew up, like I said, I grew up around so many cousins and relatives that I feel like my household is just so many people to attend to that we ain't really get that much, you know, one-on-one time, you know, and I feel like my Nana gave that one-on-one time to me, and she was just so nurturing and so caring, and I got that same feeling from you, and it was just, and I got so many other things, you know, besides that, but that was one thing that I started to notice very on in a relationship, and it was like, I care about you just as much as you care about me type stuff, and I'm like, I don't never meet nobody like this, bro. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, that caring and nurturing you gave to me was so important because it just made me feel, you know, at home, and it made me feel important. It made me feel special, you know, and I just love the way you made me feel, you know, like and not just the way you feel, what you said, you know, we had like anytime we ever do something, we always talked about it. Like we talked about our feelings of that interaction.
We're all constantly reflecting together.
You know, and it was like, damn, like, and sometimes when someone tell you about yourself, you kind of don't want to believe it, you know, but as you continue to be more and more of yourself, you start seeing it from everybody. This person said the same thing. That person said the same thing. You like, man, this is who I am. You know, I am this person. You feel me?
Yeah.
I am. You know what I mean? I am that person. So I feel like that's what you gave for me, and we've been able to give each other even more. You know, like so much more, so much that I can't even explain.
In one video, it wouldn't even do it justice, honestly.
Nah. So.
It's funny too because like certain things that like you and your Nana did together are things that sometimes we do together. You know, like you said, like you didn't have a lot of affection growing up with like your parents, but your Nana gave you a lot of affection through like just these intimate moments of like massaging your scalp. And that's something that I do as a way to show you like I want to have this intimate time with you and show you that I care, and just like what's the word? Things. Yeah, but like not cherish you, but like along those lines, like just kind of like I want you to feel like it's like a spa time. You know, and like we'll just have times when even we'll go to the park or maybe just in bed or wherever, and we'll just have candles or incense, and I bring out some oil and massage your scalp and your beard and comb out your beard, and it's like those times I don't ever feel like it's a chore. It's something I want to do. I want to show you how much I love you, and this is just one way that I can do that. So it's just funny how like this, it's like manifested from like your Nana to this. Yeah,
and that's the childhood right there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's all connected. When you really like open it, when you start to like put two and two together, you see how like you're still a child, just in your like, you know, adult body or wherever you at. You know, you could be a teenager, you can be whatever.
Until you really heal that part of you. Yeah. I agree. Well, for men that, you know, I don't know a lot of men really that are in committed, serious relationships because they're not really committed and serious about their own personal growth. So let's say someone does decide, you know what, I'm going to do the things to heal my inner child. I'm going to, you know, have these open discussions more with the people that I need to. Let's say they're, you know, they've done that love, that because it's not work, it's love. What kind of advice or recommendations would you give to a young man that is starting a relationship with a woman that he wants it to be out of the norm? He wants it to be enlightened. he wants to feel that divine love?
I feel like to like have any relationship, I feel like it has to come with honesty. Because I feel like if you're not honest, then you're not realizing the parts of yourself that need to be healed. So I feel like, sometimes we try to like feel like we got everything figured out, and when you move like that, then you make mistakes because you like lying. You moving like, yeah, I know what to do in this situation, and then that situation happened, they looking at you like that you knew what you needed to do. You like, yeah, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really about being honest, in so many ways. And also like you said, your partner is a mirror, but also she's your accountability partner. So it's like sometimes there's gonna be situations where your partner gonna tell you something about yourself that you don't want to admit, or you don't want to see, or you want to kind of like, try to like make it seem like it's not that bad or it's not that serious, but it is, because things build up. So it's like really just being honest, open, and just accepting yourself, and accepting where you at, and accepting that it's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. This is a good thing that you're aware now, and now you can work on it. So,
babe, that part right there, because when we went through certain things, it was like I had told myself, because of that whole year, like before we met, I did so much internal work that I had told myself, like, I'm at this certain point now. And now that I'm like realizing what trauma wasn't healed from childhood and what things still needed to be healed, and like and also like I don't ever want it to make it seem like we just have it all figured out. We're never done healing, but specifically childhood wounds will affect your romantic relationship. So those are the types of things I'm like specifically touching on.
Right.
But like when we went through certain things at the beginning of our relationship, it was kind of like embarrassing, honestly. It was like, I can't believe like I'm acting like this. I can't believe I thought I already fixed this, and now it's coming up again, and it's like, and it's coming up with you, and it was just like, it felt like icky. It felt like some shit like I don't want to be in.
Toxic.
Yeah, it was toxic. It wasn't like
toxic,
horrible, but it still was present, and it still was something that was affecting me.
It wasn't enjoyable.
No, and affecting us.
Forget toxic.
It
wasn't enjoyable. It was just like, most of the time we be enjoying each other's company, and then there be times where it's just like we can't move past this moment, and because that's really all it is a moment. We can't move past this moment.
But it wasn't. I wasn't truly accepting what needed to be there.
Right.
And that's something I love that you said that, because a lot of times we look at our shadow selves as bad or negative, or it's embarrassing, or it's shameful, and it's really none of those things. It's just literally illuminating where we need to heal, where we have the ability to grow.
Right.
And so like that, just accepting in myself, like, okay, this is what it is now. Now you notice it, you're aware. Now let's just heal it. Don't look at it as a bad thing.
No.
And because you were so patient and gentle, I feel like it allowed that growth to happen much, much smoother. And just kind of faster too. Like, it would have taken me longer to do it if you weren't like that. Right. But it's not really about the speed. It's just that you gave me that gentle encouragement, and that is just everything. Like, that's what we're here for as partners. We're here to encourage. We're here to love and support and listen, and we play so many roles as a partner. But that one specifically was just really what I needed as an individual. So I really thank you for that.
You're welcome. I love you.
I love you. And thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. I obviously, like, he is someone I've wanted to have on, for a long time. But I also think that just for like a lot of reasons, really, I didn't want to have you on yet until I kind of have cultivated my own thing. Like, I wanted to be like, this is my own thing, and I and now that I have like more understanding of the things I want to talk about and how I want this to, you know, like look on camera and the dialogue, it's like literally just the groove. Now that I have that, it's like, okay, I need to bring my baby on, because you have so much wisdom in you, and you're not 23 and I'm not 23. Like we don't submit to that narrative that, oh, we're young or we're this age, so we need to be doing this every night, or we need to be acting like this, or we need to talk like this. We are infinite beings. You know, we are very connected individually and as a couple to our spirituality and to source. And that's also another thing that you've really helped me grow in a lot. And what was my point?
You was just saying that we connected in so many ways, and you was talking about getting to your groove with the podcast and.
Oh, that just like that we don't believe in age.
Right.
You know, we don't think about it like that. We don't act like it.
No.
You know, so it's like just deepening that understanding with someone else is very powerful.
It is, because I feel like we're just like, so we aren't attached to anything. We're not attached to identities. We're constantly evolving. We're constantly, you know, transforming constantly. Like, you know, we don't get, attached to a certain belief system, to a certain whatever. It's like if we learn something new and it makes sense, then, you know, we pretty much like apply it to our lives, and until we further our knowledge, then we just keep going. We're not judging ourselves ever. So it's like, you know, it's just like we are unlimited, literally. Like we are limited, pretty much. That's what it feels like. You know, it just feels like we just got so many things to just continue to learn together and grow, and not put a time stamp on it. Like we need to do this at a certain time, or you know, we're doing it now. Whatever we want to do, we're going to do it now. And if we don't do it today, then we'll do it tomorrow.
Right. I agree. Well, to close this off, you know, I always got to put my baby on because I love you. That if anyone ever needs, I was just saying, if someone ever needs someone to help build their website out, help them, you know, scale their brand. He specifically uses Facebook ads. But like I was saying, it's been so exciting because he recently, or like the start of this year, added on photography and videography. And you might have seen, like, some of the things I post on Instagram are the ads that he's created for the brands that he's helped, like different skincare ads, shoes, different things like that. And he, you know, also just that being with a creative partner, we're all creative, but you are very in tune with your creative energy, and like watching you cultivate this skill, it's just been so fun, honestly. It's like a kid in a candy store where he would be like on the computer like late at night, like, oh my God, I just learned how to do this new transition. I just learned how to do this on the camera. Like that shit was so fun for me as a partner to like watch you have so much fun.
Right.
You know, and he is just a master at his craft. And yeah, anytime I can put him on for his services, his business services, I will, confidently. So that's just a little side thing I wanted to say. But thank you for just being vulnerable and sharing how you've grown as a man, you know, from a boy to a man, how you've connected with your masculine energy, how you've helped connect me with my feminine energy. You know, I'm definitely going to have you on again because there's other topics I want to go more in depth about, like sex and just navigating, you know, different things as a couple.
Right.
So I love you with all my heart, and I'm just so grateful for you. And we don't need this podcast to tell each other that because we say it all the time.
All the time.
I just love you so much.
All the time. And I thank you for having me and planning out this specific episode for us to really pretty much share our experiences and share our perspectives on masculine, feminine energy, relationships, childhood trauma, just all these, you know, interesting topics that I feel like a lot of people suffer from, or they don't understand, or they don't really have, you know,
like a sufficient toolbox.
Yeah, or, you know, like they don't have that outlet to go to really
Yeah.
learn from, like, you know, like a, you know, like a reputable person that can
Right.
really give you the information, you know, dumbed down or like simplified for you to understand. So I just appreciate you just even starting this podcast. Like, just me, just before we end this podcast, just me being with Jessie and being with my partner, I've been able to see her cultivate so much confidence in herself, because even when we first met, you know, she didn't want to do certain things, and I pretty much encouraged her to say, hey, no, I think that, babe, listen, you're one of the most powerful women I ever met in my life. You can do anything. The way you carry yourself, I know that you'll be successful at whatever you do. So just watching her go from, you know, being in a photo shoot to being my model to being like just being, you know, being herself, being comfortable in herself, being comfortable in her skin. And now we sit here having this podcast, being able to talk to y'all because of all the healing she did for herself. She's able to do a podcast comfortably because she healed certain parts of herself that she didn't realize that, you know, really stunted her growth. So, you know, all this stuff is beautiful. And, you know, we encourage everyone to, you know, watch this video, you know, after, think about some things that you can heal in yourself and move on, move forward. So, you know, you can close it.
Well, yeah, I agree. You know, I think watching or listening, however you take in the episodes, is obviously very important, but having that reflection time after to see how it applies to you and different questions that you can go internal and ask yourself is what's going to start to create those modalities of healing. You know, so this is not just like something to listen to and then, okay, I'm gonna go do something else now. Like, take the time to find how this resonates with your own spirit, because this is why I created this podcast. I want people to heal. I want people to feel at peace within themselves and have high levels of self-love, because I know from experience for myself and watching you that when you start to do that, it is life-changing in every way, and you just won't ever know that feeling until you know it.
You won't. Do the work. I mean, do the love.
Yeah,
do the
pour
healing.
the love into yourself.
Pour the love, bro. It's going to manifest in every way. Like, in every way. I feel like every way. If I can see, this is the answer to all of your problems.
Literally.
This is the answer to all your problems. Whatever you're going and they telling you to do this and do this, self-healing is the answer to finances, it's the answer to your relationships, it's the answer to your health, it's the answer to your spirit, it's the answer to your purpose, to every single thing. You're going to figure out all this stuff through healing yourself and becoming more conscious, which is aware, and, you know, everything will align, you know? So
Definitely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that tuned in, and we will see you guys next week.
peace.